Hello and welcome to the first ever 10K college conversation. Brought to you by Stimulus Athletic. That's right, Stimulus Athletic can provide all gear on and off the field, whether you're a soccer team, basketball team, or anything in between. So head over to stimulusathletic.com to get outfitted for your gear on and off the field. Today we are joined by Lucy from Mcalester Women's Soccer. Lucy, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. We're really excited. So, just start off by telling us, what year you are, how long you've been playing, and kind of how you landed at Mcalester.
I'm a sophomore. I'll graduate in 2023. And I've been playing since I was 4, which was basically like the earliest age you could start at the local like rec league back when the ball was like up to my knee. Everyone was kind of just like chasing it around.
Right, of course.
So I was playing rec soccer until I could play. I got to like the travel age when I was like 12 or 13. It was the same club in Richmond, Virginia. It was a Richmond Strikers club. So then I was with them playing travel soccer up until I graduated high school. And the way I got here was actually kind of like a surprise to myself. I really like didn't see it happening. I didn't think I would be going to like a small liberal arts school in like Minnesota too, of all places, from coming out of Richmond. Um, but yeah, I knew that when I was in high school, I was in the IB program, so it was like a really rigorous high school schedule with academics, and I was doing soccer at the same time, and I knew that I wanted to like keep academics as something that was like really important to me. But at the time, like early in high school, I'd been playing center forward, and I was like really small. I was like 5'1", 5'2", maybe at that time. And the older I got, the taller and like the bigger the center backs got, and I was just picking up a lot of fouls, kind of getting beat up there. And I was like, geez, I don't think I can play at the college level, if I'm doing this. But
Right.
my sophomore year of high school, I was going to some ID camps. I was talking to the coach at Johns Hopkins, and he made a really good case for D3 programs. And before then, I was thinking, oh, like I'm just going to go to college at a big Virginia State school, UVA, Virginia Tech, VCU, stuff like that. Um, and it didn't end up working with Johns Hopkins because of like financial aid, things like that. But it did get me thinking about integrating soccer back into like my life after I graduate instead of kind of just like tossing in the towel, letting it go. Um, so then I was watching a lot of English Premier League. I'm a huge Premier League fan. And I was watching Kevin De Bruyne, who is my favorite player. He's just like a magician on the field. And I was like, hey, maybe I can do that. Like maybe I can play center mid. I'm not going to get beat up as much. And I can kind of have like more fun with it, be more creative. So then I switched positions in a center mid, and I was having a lot like more success. I wasn't getting as beat up and stuff like that, and I could play at a much faster pace. And that's when I started thinking about the D3 colleges again. And I was actually born in Minnesota. I was born here in St. Paul. And my dad got his PhD at the U. So I kind of knew about Mcalester, but I wasn't really considering it until I switched positions, and that kind of opened the door to college soccer for me. So I sent out an email to the head coach, Crystal Seidel, and sent some film, basically, told this whole spiel about the academics and everything. And we had some really great conversations. And then in December of my senior year of high school, she was able to go to a big tournament I had in North Carolina. And she came and saw me, and we talked. And just from then on, I was kind of set on going to Mcalester. I applied early decision. And yeah, I was just really lucky and really thankful that it worked out.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's something that, a lot of high schoolers don't often consider is like kind of the opportunities that exist within, the D3 sphere of athletics, just because obviously that's not, as in the forefront as, some of your bigger schools, like the ones you mentioned in Virginia, and then obviously like the U and stuff like that. Um, since, landing at Mcalester, what's your kind of daily schedule looking like for both the in season and the off season?
Right. So it's changed a lot, obviously, with COVID. I feel like it changes like every couple of weeks. But typically before COVID, in the off season during the school year, we would have a set day for conditioning that was once a week, and that would be at 6:30 in the morning. And then the days that I didn't have conditioning in the morning, I would work at our athletic center, which is where my work study is. So I would do that at 6 in the morning just to kind of keep that same schedule. And then we also had lifts a few times a week, and then we would condition at the end of lifts too. And then um, a couple times a week, I think mostly on the weekends, we would kind of do pickup style games just with the team. That was kind of like futsal. And that was really nice because we got like really competitive with it and we had a lot of energy, but it was also just like a nice break and a way to kind of hang out and stuff. So that was the off season. And then now or in season, usually we'll have practice every day, just about every day, maybe like 6 times a week if we don't have games. And then we'll have games usually on the weekend, but sometimes it'll be like a Wednesday game or a Friday game. And then we also will have lifts like 2 times a week. And usually we don't condition while we're in season because you'll be getting that.
Yeah, of course. You kind of touched on it a little bit. Obviously, this was, a super tough year in almost every aspect of, of life. And then, specifically, for college athletes and athletes in general at just about all level, they kind of had their sport ripped away from them, something that they've, kind of used as, maybe as a crutch kind of throughout life to just, continue to, motivate them, keep them focused. So how did not having soccer kind of affect you? And then how's your team able to help you get through these tough times?
Yeah. Soccer and being a part of this team was definitely one of the most important, if not the most important thing for me over quarantine, starting last year when classes ended. And then we were all sent home and kind of just like the uncertainties and stuff. Um, we immediately, when we were sent home, our strength coach, who is amazing, got right on it and sent us lots of like COVID safe options like body weight workouts and small space conditioning to do. And our coaches also built schedules for us that integrated the things from our strength coach, but also things like watching film or like personal technical work and stuff like that. And it was just about my only sense of structure that I had during COVID, which was kind of huge because the sport got taken away and stuff like that. But I was still, like going out to the field or like dragging my little brother out with me to try to knock a ball around or stuff like that. So that was really important. And just finding a way to still be in community with others. We would have Zoom meetings, or when the NWSL was back up, we all had a team that we were like following and stuff like that. And also it was really interesting because I think being a student athlete actually helped me have some of the tools to deal with like all those uncertainties that came with COVID and quarantining and not being able to play your sport. Like specifically last year, the first day of my freshman career, athletic career, I injured my ankle pretty badly, and it just about took me out of competition for the entire season. So that was obviously not how I wanted to, start my athletic career in college, but I learned so much from the leaders on and off the field, like from my teammates and also from the coaching staff. who are some of the like smartest, most resilient women I've ever, been able to be around. And in the weight room, in the training room, all of that, I learned a lot about kind of dealing with those uncertainties and like believing in the future that you're working towards too, and kind of like trusting the process is what they say. So in my recovery process, I kind of learned about that because I was still pushing for something that I wasn't really sure about with an end date, which is really similar to what I experienced in quarantine while still having to juggle all these other things, like school and my personal life and things like that. And I don't think I would have gotten through either of those experiences with the positives that I was able to take out of it without the people around me from like the team and the coaching staff and just the people that I had access to. And I think that's a really important part of like mental health as a college athlete is having that support, and also just the different structures available to you, because it's a really dynamic thing. You're not just an athlete, or you're not just one thing. So I think that was really important, having all those different perspectives and stuff.
Right. So you kind of briefly touched on it there with being injured and how tough that is, cuz and how that kind of related to having to quarantine, be away from the team and be away from the sport. So, and obviously you are just a sophomore, so you've only had 1 year previously, but, so now that you've kind of been at it for 2 years and, some time in quarantine, any, like, thoughts on just, general mental health as a college athlete and how, maintaining that, can be so tough, and kind of what do you do? You kind of listed some stuff, but is there anything else you do to, help maintain that, mental fortitude, through the ups and downs of a college season?
hmm Yeah, I think mental health is so important, especially as a college athlete, because it really does influence your physical health too. It's just another part of that, in the same way that you train your muscles and stuff like that. So yeah, in my recovery process, I learned a lot about that, but also at Mcalester, there are a lot of resources that focus on mental health at the center of it all. And just through that, in my year and a half on Mcalester, I learned like a lot of tools, a lot about taking breaks when necessary. It's the same idea with like an overuse injury, right? Like you can't keep going at it, you can't keep practicing. It's the same thing with like your mental health, like taking breaks. And I do a lot of like different things. Like I like biking or listening to music. I'm really into records and stuff like that. I get really into that, and just finding different ways to, I don't know, keep myself going, but yeah, not take the focus like out of everything that I'm doing, but still kind of checking out.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's super insightful. But you guys are back now, and you're revving up for games here.
hmm
Um, and obviously it's been weird. Like, we're playing in the spring. It's all just out of whack. So what are some of the weirdest parts of this season? This semester, and just kind of all of it.
Right. I think the weirdest part is the way that we just kind of show up at practice and then we do our thing and then we leave. I think like you don't really think about that. Definitely when I was going to college, I wasn't aware of, like all the prepping in the locker room and the things, that you do in the training room, the ice baths and the recovery stretches and things like that. But that really does make a difference. And I think that is the weirdest thing, that we all come and kind of just put our cleats on and do practice, and we're not able to share those same spaces as we're trying to like minimize our contacts and stuff. So that's been weird. And also like all across the country, a lot of college students are staying home to do their classes remotely. So we have a couple people on the team who are at home too. And we also have some dual sport athletes. Like we have 5 goalkeepers, but we only have one practicing with us because 3 of them are playing other sports that are in season. One's at home. It's kind of just things like that that change the dynamic a little. But yeah, I think also a weird thing is how used to it I've gotten. Like I've gotten so used to just like doing all the different protocols and all the different changes that happen as we move through phases. So I think it's going to be weirder actually when we're able to go back to everything being normal, and there's going to be that um, acclimation period all over again. So
Right. I'm sure it's the same for us. I'm sure it's the same for almost every team, that time, spent in the locker room, spent in the training room, before and after practices. That is some of the most unmatched and like unfiltered bonding time within your team. Um and yeah, it's kind of been taken away almost at all levels. It kind of feels like being a kid again, just showing up to the field, putting your cleats on and going.
yeah,
So how about on the field, maybe like schematic wise, kind of tactic wise, any big differences this semester or this season compared to previous ones?
yeah. So the way we practice, because we had to kind of move through phases um, to adhere to the COVID protocols. At first, we were completely distanced without any contact and masks. So that kind of limited to us to just like passing drills and stuff like that, which is really different. It's competitive still, but it wasn't as like physically intense. And now that we've gotten back to full contact, we're still masked, but we're able to play 11v11. We're able to do like one-on-one defending and stuff like that. Um, that I think that build up was really different. Whereas usually we're kind of thrown into preseason. And then also, I'm not sure that this was informed by COVID, but we are switching our formation. We're practicing a new formation, which is it's actually I think a benefit to us that we're able to practice in the spring because we're anticipating a conference schedule next fall and we have some competition coming up in a couple weeks. So we're able to really work out this new formation. Like when we were allowed to have contact, um, when we weren't too, we could really work on that ball movement and just the foundations of switching a formation. That would be really difficult if we just started preseason in August and tried to kind of work it out before we hit games. So I think that was actually a good advantage to us. But yeah, there's a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I think I know it's kind of the same for us. We're working on a new system just because we have a lot more time to do it. And these games are still meaningful, but they feel a little less meaningful without like an NCAA tournament on the other end of this. Um so yeah, so now kind of getting into college athlete or athletics, in general, not necessarily, COVID or not. But, how what is something that, you did not know going into, being a college athlete? And, what's one of the, kind of the I guess, yeah, just something you didn't know.
Yeah. Um, I guess the schedule, or I guess the impact of the schedule on you mentally and physically, I didn't know. I mean, people will tell you about it, and even if I was listening myself as like a high schooler right now, um, I could understand that. Like, yeah, you have a lot going on. I have like a work study, and I have classes and practicing and lifting and stuff like that. But it's really different once you're actually there. And I think everyone kind of deals with it in a different way. But yeah, I think the worst part, I guess, is just that no matter like how prepped you are through like conversations or like other engagement and stuff, it's really different once you get there and once you kind of just like hit the ground running.
So just
Um,
kinda how in busy you are in general between, classes, work, and soccer?
yeah, and then you have to kind of navigate those ways to prioritize your body and your mental health and stuff like that. And that's really hard to practice if you're not like actively in that schedule.
Right, and then, like, a teacher will, like, assign a paper, like, due in 3 days. It just kinda throws everything off.
Mhm.
What's one of the best things that, like, you didn't necessarily know, but then you got there and you just, really enjoyed it?
Yeah, I think the best thing would be um just like figuring out how much I can do, or like it's like I don't know, it's like really random little things like ice bathing. I hated taking ice baths before, but then it was like this whole, it's kind of like a fun thing to do because you're, pooped after practice. You hop in the ice bath. It sucks for everyone, but it's kind of like those little things, like realizing, oh, I can do this, and like, yes, I have a lot of classes right now, and I have a full, excuse me, I have a full schedule and like work study and stuff, but I think just having really great people around me is the best part, which is also something that, a coach, when you're getting recruited, coach can be like, oh, we have a great team and we have these great resources and stuff, but it's really amazing to kind of experience it yourself. I think that's
Right.
important, like those little interactions.
Yeah, of course, of course. Um, so then kind of, you kind of touched on it briefly. But, as a college athlete, as a college student in general, you're managing wearing a lot of hats. You're a athlete, you're a student, you might have a job, you still have your family, you have your friends. You just have all of that. So, what is it like trying to, manage all these kind of different personalities and, hats that you have to wear, throughout a day, throughout a semester, and throughout your 4 years or more?
Yeah. I think it's definitely really hard, and sometimes it feels like you kind of have to like pick and choose um which one you're going to prioritize when. But I think you just have to be, I don't know, for me at least, like these are all just parts of myself that come really naturally to me. I think of myself as like a student and an athlete and, a hard worker and a good friend and things like that. So I think, yeah, I don't know. It's hard, but um yeah, I think it's just about like um hold on. I just I
Yeah,
just had
no,
a
no,
brain for it. Let
it's
me
difficult,
think.
and there's not necessarily one right answer, right? As far as, what you can do to manage all these personalities and ultimately, try to apply yourself at 100% no matter what situation you're in. It's extremely difficult, for college athletes and college students in general. Um, so we're taking a quick ad break here for Spam FC. That is right, Spam FC. Head over to shopspamfc.com to get all your favorite merchandise for on and off the field. That is shopspamfc.com and use code POD for 10% off your first order. All right, Lucy, getting back into it. So being at Mcalester, or I should preface this, we're getting into the heavy hitter questions. So being at Mcalester, you guys have a mascot that is a Scot.
Yeah.
What is a Scot?
So our Scott is he's just a Scottish person. He's got this big red beard, the kilt, full blown, the bagpipe. We play bagpipes at all of like the orientation, the commencement, like events and graduation stuff like that. I think it's just I don't know, it's really interesting. People get really fired up by a Scott, it's different.
So it's just a Scottish guy, just like in
Yeah.
general. Okay.
Yeah.
So how many times in your time at Mcalester have you heard bagpipes getting played?
More than I ever thought I would. Like, it's not just at the events. Sometimes you'll be like walking to the library and you'll be like, what does that sound like? Is that a bell, or like, is that a truck or something? But it's someone like playing a bagpipe outside of like the art center or something.
Can you play a bagpipe, or do you have any desire to learn how to play a bagpipe before you graduate?
I was actually thinking about it because they're free bagpipe lessons at Mcalester. So I don't, maybe one day. I think it would be fun.
That has gotta be the only school in America where there's bagpipe lessons, I gotta guess. So, in honor of McAllister's mascot, we're gonna rank a few Scots here. So, it's March, it's tournament time, and rankings are the only things that matter. So, I'm gonna give you a list of prominent Scots, and I'm gonna need you to just rank these Scots. All right, so I'm gonna list them all off first. So, number 1, Michael Scott from The Office. Number 2, Scott Tape. That's right, Scott Tape. Number 3, Scott Disick, the guy that's married to Kourtney Kardashian, and I don't know what he does beyond that. Number 4, Travis Scott, the rapper. And then lastly, kilts and bagpipes. Well, we're gonna combo those two because they are Scottish, at least in my mind. So, um, number 5, which one are you going?
This is a toughie. Um, I'm gonna have to put Scott Disick at number 5. There's just not a whole lot going on there. I don't know, not super interesting. So he's gonna get that last place.
Yeah, he is the most obvious number 5 out of all these Scots. All right, moving on. Number 4. What are you putting in number 4?
Number 4,
We got Michael Scott, Scott Tape, Travis Scott, and Kilts and Bagpipes.
I think I'm gonna put kilts and bagpipes there.
Oof.
I love it on the mascot. Personally, I don't think I could rock a kilt.
Yeah,
Bagpipes, I love them, but just got to bring them down there.
of course not. I think kilts are weird. Kilts are kind of weird. They throw me off. But oof, bagpipes getting the number 4 spot. All right. Number 3, we got Michael Scott, we got Scott Tape, and we got Travis Scott.
Okay, number 3. I think I'm gonna have to go with Travis Scott.
Oof.
Good music, but I'm not super into rap, but I think I would bump some Travis Scott on game day. I'll just put
Okay.
him right in the middle of the table.
All right. That's a fair place for Travis Scott. I think he'd be higher on my list. Do you have a favorite Travis Scott song off the top of your head?
um, no, not really.
Okay. Okay, so then number 3 makes sense. All right.
Yeah.
Here we go. Top 2 places. We got Michael Scott from The Office and Scott Tape. Just the tape. You know
Mhm.
what? We're gonna do the whole brand, the whole Scotch brand. So,
Oh, okay.
tape. I think they do like Post-it notes. Maybe like they do like off-brand, or like I guess it wouldn't be off-brand, but like the things you use to hang command
Mhm.
strips. I don't know.
Mhm.
We're doing the whole brand though, so I don't know if that'll change your ranking here.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think for number 2, I'm gonna give Scotch that 2 seed, just because everybody needs tape. Everybody needs those everyday items. You don't know you need it until it's gone. I'm gonna put that at number 2.
Okay, so Michael Scott from The Office taking the 1 seed. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's a great point about Scotch tape. You never know you need Scotch tape till you do not have Scotch tape.
There you
So
go.
so anyway, there is the Scott rankings by a real Scott, or I guess you're a real Scott. So there we go, Scotch rankings. Um okay, yeah. So Lucy, thank you so much for taking the time to come and talk to us. So that's Lucy from Mcalester Women's Soccer. When do you guys play again? When's your next game?
We play April 3rd.
April 3rd. Do you know who you're
Yep.
playing?
We're gonna play St. Olaf.
St. Olaf. Is
Yep.
that at home?
Yes, all of our games are at home. Of 3.
All right. Oh, you guys are only playing 3 games.
Yeah.
Okay, so condensed spring season here, guys. So Lucy, thank you again for taking the time. It was great having you.
Thanks so much. It was a lot of fun.